Hello and welcome. I'm Tommaso from the Word Anvil, and today we are playing Dead Air Seasons. The name of the adventure is Railway, and it's what is contained in the quick start of Dead Air Seasons that might or might not be available at the time when you see this video. I haven't decided yet when it will be published, but it is published because Dead Air Seasons is coming to Kickstarter, and in the description of this video, you will find the address where to find more information. With me today, we have Nemes. Hello.
Hello.
He's playing Nevin, and we will hear exactly what kind of character it is in a moment. And then we have Phoenix Wrights playing May.
Hi.
Hello. And then Schnerfel is playing Constantine.
Yo.
All right, before going to the characters, I just want to explain very quickly what kind of game Dead Air Seasons is. So the idea behind the game, actually this is for who's following our works since a few years, they know that there is a prequel to this game. And it was published as a stretch goal from our very first campaign. As a mini setting that would go together with the Monad system, which was our previous system. We liked how that mini setting came out and decided to make a better, bigger version of it, and this is Dead Air Seasons. So the game is inspired by a series of works that based in the post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse genre, but they don't really talk about monsters. We want in this game we want to keep the stories of people central, and another very important theme of the game is ecology and the consequences of what mankind is doing right now on the environment, and where they could lead us potentially. Hopefully not. But we've seen in the past couple of years that shit happens, so to say. So when I say stories of people, I'm thinking about works like The Last of Us, Part 1 and 2, Station 11, if you read the book, or The Road, either the book, maybe you read the book or so, the movie with Viggo Mortensen. In like what ties this works together is the kind of relationships that are formed in communities of people that are trying to survive some kind of disaster. And then another big inspiration are this kind of works that deal with the fact that the world has changed forever for some reason. It's usually an infection or something else. I'm talking about works like Contagion, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, the sequel, and even if we go on the extremes, we can find stuff like Mad Max Fury Road, or even Rise of the Planets of the Apes. I'm specifically mentioning the second episode because it's the one that has the closest mood to what we're doing here, while the first one is a bit different, and the third one I haven't seen, so I can't say. And then there's the final theme is that nature is a tribute to mankind. And here, the main inspiration actually are documentaries. There's an excellent one. It's called Racing Extinction, from the same people that made The Cove. I don't know if you ever saw that, but basically you can read it in the news every day. If you follow some activists like Extinction Rebellion, you are familiar with the fact that we are definitely taking more from the planet that we are giving back, and this probably will lead us down a very dark road. So the game wants to deal also with this kind of topics. What happens specifically in this game is that substantially what happens is that mankind tried to clean up their mess through some kind of bacteria. Instead of changing their behavior, they relied on an easy solution. And of course, things don't go as planned. The bacteria mutates somehow, and it starts what what in the game is called the blight. The blight is some kind of spore that infects living organisms in different ways, and it starts to infect animals, people. It makes nature a lot more aggressive, and during the time of a few years, basically, it makes society collapse. People become divided. Governments collapse, and as in many of the works I mentioned before, people get divided into what we could call tribes. In the games, we call them communities. So everybody is for themselves. They try to survive in this new world where things have changed, where some people get infected, that they become what in the game are called the awakened. And the game, as I mentioned, is not really about monsters, but there are monsters that are roaming the world as we know it now. However, one big element here is how communities interact with each other. Some are trying to help each other, some are trying to barter with each other or exchange resources, but of course, things get pretty wild, and when all those go away, you can imagine what happens very quickly. So that's pretty much the framework of their seasons, and the game has some interesting mechanics. The name seasons comes from these mechanics, which will allow to solve crisis, and each crisis can be, for example, the most important event for a certain community during a year, and then the next one could be the year after. So there are a big chunk of times where nothing really significant happens, but the parts that people play are this crisis where somewhat the community is in danger, new resources are needed, they get attacked by someone, or the blight is trying to take over. And bit by bit, after a while, after a certain number of crises, the season changes. And when the season changes, the environment around the community changes dramatically. So that's pretty much the idea behind the game. What we're playing here, it's Railway. It's a one shot, even though probably we're gonna be playing it for a couple of sessions at least. And it's supposed to show some of the mechanics of the game, but of course not all of them, because this is a game that shines in the medium long term, when the community of the players has the chance to face more than one crisis and see, as I mentioned, these seasons changing. Okay, but I've been talking enough, and I would like to hear from our players. Who are their characters? Nemes, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm playing Neven. Neven is a young man who doesn't really have any specific skills, which means that he only has skills, I guess. Or that's how he presents it. He studied medicine at some point, but not the human kind. He is a veterinary student. And he is supposed to take care of others when things go wrong, but he doesn't really know how he's supposed to do it. And that's it.
Very well. Okay. Phoenix, who's May? I think your microphone is muted.
Myself on my headphones. Yeah, so May is kind of the engineer of the group. She's very much into anything technological, but it's gonna be hard for her to live in a world without something for her to tinker with, or she's gonna have difficulty surviving in nature alone.
Okay, and then we have Constantine.
Constantine used to be a LARPer, and now he's been thrown into the what he used to be doing as fun is now reality, and he's not exactly thrilled with that change. He's had to make a lot of adjustments to who like how he exists and how he views the world in order to survive this new one. And sadly, because he spent all of his time doing like medieval reenactment, he don't know how gun works. He's like, I'm gonna bring a sword. Swords work.
But then he finds out that maybe not everything is as easy as during a LARP, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So one thing before we start, imagine that during this adventure, we will use some cinematic metaphors, okay? And the very first scene, it's actually flash forward. So this is something that will happen in a while. And then in the second scene, we'll go back and see how we get there. Okay. All right. So I think I have some music. Let me share the Spotify, and I think we could start. Your legs are hurting, and you can hear yourself panting. The air in your lungs is not enough. It's cold, it's raining, and it's dark. Definitely not the best conditions to run from the group that is chasing you, because you stole from them a very important piece that you need for the train. But you couldn't do anything else. That was the only possible solution. Time was short, and diplomacy somewhat failed. Now, unfortunately, is not the moment to think about complex solutions, because you can hear the barking of the dogs behind you. It's getting closer. You can only think about not getting caught and how to get through the dark forest you're running through, and might be wired with traps or other dangers that you cannot really see that well, because, as I mentioned, it's dark and it's raining. And you start to hear the bullets over your head. What do you do?
Who has the piece actually?
You can decide.
I feel like May would have the piece.
Yeah, probably.
Let the engineer.
She's the engineer, you know. She knows how to hold on to it, not break it. Unless it's heavy. Is it heavy?
Well, it is fairly heavy. I think you have it in some kind of wrapped in some kind of I don't know, an old T-shirt or something, and it's kind of heavy, and it's like a giant valve or something like that.
Okay, if it's like super heavy, then I think of the three of us.
But not super heavy, like she can carry it. But I mean, it's like having a brick or something.
Okay. You're muted again.
Yeah, you're still muted.
You're muted.
Nix, you're muted.
Damn it. Hello. Sorry about that. Yeah, I
You
would.
were talking very animatedly.
I was saying I would probably have it in a makeshift sling against my body, where it's much harder to steal, but it's very heavy, and at this point I'm very tired. My legs hurt. It's dark. It's rainy. It's in the forest. I don't like it. There's bullets. No, I don't like this. Come on, faster.
I think Neven has like running away from issues is basically what he does for survival. So he would be trying to find some place to wait things out. So he would try to find some place to hide, maybe for the three of us.
So I think that now that you're running, you realize a couple of things. you could get out of the forest. There is some kind of open fields, but you don't know exactly what is waiting for you there. Or you could continue down the forest, but you suspect that this group, because they're so aggressive, they're so aggressively chasing you, they might be trying to lead you into some kind of danger into the forest. However, you can get out of the trees, but then you might be more visible. Also, you think that hiding it's a really bad idea because the dogs have your scent. So it's very likely that they will find you.
Damn it. I think I would look to the others. Where are we going? What are we doing?
Well, what you're trying to do, of course, is going back to your community and try to lose the people that are chasing you, of course. So you are kind of going in the general direction, but it took you a while to get here, and you don't know this place that well.
So
I
we have
spin around and look at the two of you and go, "You go ahead. I will hold them off."
Sure.
No, don't be stupid. Come on, just run.
While we're still in the trees, their bullets aren't nearly as good, and I can hide in a tree or by a tree and then take them out with my sword as they come along. I can slow them down so that you can get through.
You like from the noise that you have behind you, you suspect they might be at least like 10 or 15 and several dogs.
Do
Yeah,
not
are
be
you
stupid,
proficient in
Constantine.
dog wrestling?
You talked over each other. I didn't hear you.
Sorry. Go ahead, Nix.
I said, don't be stupid, Constantine. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can fight a dog.
That's the thing you're worried about, the dog. Not the people with the guns. We're worried about the dog.
Oh, we don't care about the people. We care about the dogs and you. So we better run.
Okay, well, you guys in the head, and I'm going to be in the back to protect you. Go.
Okay, May and Nevin, do you continue down the forest, or do you get out, or do you stop and try to face them?
I won't stop to try and face them, that's for sure.
Okay.
I think go through the field if we're sure there's no trap there.
Okay, so you're trying to get out of the forest.
Yeah.
Okay, May, are you following him, or are you trying to split, or what is the idea there?
I'm gonna follow Nevin. I guess I have no idea what else I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Can't survive.
I hate the fact that there's no cover going out there, but I will follow.
So you're following, okay? You're not stopping behind a tree or something to shoot back at the guys that are following you, right?
No,
Do we
I
have
don't want them to
any-
try to
do we
stop
have
and
anything?
stop me.
Okay. You get out on the open field and you realize that between the clouds, the moon is showing you some kind of path. It's much easier to move here, and for a moment you feel that you are kind of losing the people that are behind you, and then you hear from the woods above you somebody is shooting. They have some snipers. So
Oops.
Serpentine.
Nevin,
Serpentine.
at this point, I would need you to do a defense check using reaction. Their seasons has attributes, and your value of reaction is the base number of successes that you can start from. And in this case, the opposition level is 5. The people that are familiar with Broken Tales already know what this means. For those that are not familiar with it, it means that Nevin starts from, let's check, I'm not sure how much.
I start from 3. I have 3.
Okay, you start from 3,
yeah.
And you need to reach at least 5 to obtain an outcome with a cost, but you can try to do better so you wouldn't have the cost, or you would even have an increment, which is something extra positive that happens to your character. So to what kind of outcome are you aiming for?
I think I'll go for outcome with a cost for 5, and I'll just spend 2 soma for it.
Sorry, could you say it again?
Yeah, I'll go for an outcome with a cost, so 5, And I'll just spend 2 soma points for it.
Okay, you will have, in this case, the sniper has a gift that is called If You Move, You're Dead. And while you are in the open field, it assigns you automatically 1 drawback dice. The drawback dice are dice that you have to roll always, and they will make your whole action fail if you if you roll a 1 or a 2 on a d6. So they significantly increase your chances of actually failing the action. So you have to include it.
Okay, so I can pay 1 soma and roll just that die, right?
Yeah, and that will give you, like, if you don't roll a 1 or a 2, then you would have an outcome with a cost. So
Okay,
now
I'll do
we
that.
move to our Discord to find out what what happens here. Okay, so the drawback dice rolled a 3, and that is a success. So the biggest danger is out of the way, and then you pay soma, so you obtain an outcome with a cost. The bullet just flies over your head. It warns the others behind you, and in this case, I think that they will also have to do the defense check, but because they saw what you did, somewhat they're able to move in a way that would confuse the sniper that is trying to shoot at you. So you guys also have to do the defense check, but this time you don't have to roll the defense dice. Sorry, the drawback die.
Okay.
Actually, your cost, Nevin,
Yeah.
would be that you lose something behind you. What would that be?
Oh man, so soon.
Your soul.
My soul.
Actually, I'm curious about that. We don't.
Yeah, we
Do
don't
we
have
have a
equipment.
list? Yeah,
No,
we don't have
it's
equipment.
not on the sheets right now because actually that's mechanic that we don't have in the quick start. But just imagine what you were going there with, and you lost something that belongs to you, and maybe it can even be tracked back to you. That's the cost that I inflict on you. So
Yeah.
what would that be?
I think I lose my student badge with my name and my
Student
picture
badge.
on it.
Okay, well that's pretty direct. All right. So now this community that is running after you might be able to find your student badge, which is bad.
Yep.
Oh crap!
Maybe I should take some notes just so that I can
Or
bring
you
them
can
back
forget about
later.
it. It's fine.
Yeah, you don't have to take
Yeah,
notes. It's
you know.
fine.
Okay, guys. Do you? You should also roll a defense check against
What's
opposition
the
level 5.
position level 5?
But no drawback
Just
die.
Are you aiming for outcome with a cost or better? Standard outcome or with increment?
I would like if it because I have a reaction of 4, so I would need one more. I would need to roll one more with for a cost and then 2 for a standard, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking very tactical about this, so I'm gonna spend 3 soma for a positive with an increment.
Sorry, I'm checking the internal chat. Good catch, Maze. Sorry, so you're going for what, May? Tell me again.
I'm spending 3 soma, so I have an
Okay.
increment to my success.
All right, so your character May has, let me check,
11 soma.
11 soma. Okay, as you can see in this game compared to Broken Tales, we have a lot more soma, but also you have to keep in mind for those that are watching after having tried Broken Tales, the gifts here are less powerful than those of Broken Tales. So that's how we balance the two things. So May soma from 11 you use 3, so you go to 8. Very
Wait,
well.
wait. Sorry, I just read this. I just remember this. I have the gift quick,
Yes.
and it makes it uh gives me one advantage die when I blah 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 blah. But I did
Yes.
not do that. So
Actually, you can use that because it makes complete sense here. So what I would recommend is that you use two soma and then roll the advantage die. And
yeah.
if you even if it does one, the worst that can happen is that you get a stun around. So that would work.
Okay. Uh, advantage die, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Perfect. You did it. All right. Not only you managed to avoid the next bullet, but you also spot the sniper, and you realize that his weapon right now is jammed. So actually, Constantine, you're getting ready to avoid the bullet, but May, are you warning him?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout that the sniper's rifle is jammed right now. Just run.
Okay, I'm gonna just keep running. But just in case, I'm gonna try to keep my body between any sniper fire and May.
Okay. Um, you guys keep running, still in the open field. Uh, Behind you, because you are the last one of the group, Constantine,
Hmm.
you can feel one dog getting really close, like running really fast. They unleashed them some minutes ago, and this one is probably the most powerful of the pack. And the smell of blood makes them excited, makes them violent. These are not uh, nice dogs. These are dogs that have been trained to run after intruders, to run after enemies, and to fight among them for supremacy. Um,
So I know exactly. I'm going to, if I'm aware that it's there, I'm going to turn, stop, and as I'm turning, draw my sword
yes.
and use Mighty Strike to take it down. I don't know if I can stack that with Tip and Edge, which gives me an advantage die for using a sword.
All right. So to use a mighty strike, you need to spend an increment. So you would need to overcome their opposition level by at least two. The opposition level of this dog is 3. Okay,
Okay,
and
and
you would attack with probably body,
well, my body's
which
5.
yeah. So this would be automatically you will be able to get an increment for this dog, and that would allow you to activate mighty strike. Okay, so you
Hmm.
turn around, face the dog. What do you do with this word?
I am using the momentum of the spin to bring it down onto the dog's head to try to just instant kill it, not let it suffer, but just stop it.
Okay, that's exactly what you do. The dog is jumping towards you, and you can see that uh, he's sweaty, and like the muscles of his legs are almost insane. Like you rarely have seen a dog that big, but somewhat at that moment, all the training you did during your LARPing period and subsequently uh, during your time after the blight comes to you, and you strike at exactly the right moment. You come down with this word, I guess, not with the blade, right?
The I don't understand your question. A sword and a blade are the same thing.
No, like, do you use the handle of the sword just to hit the
Oh
dog
no,
on the
I'm
head?
using the blade. I am going to
Okay.
kill it.
Okay, all right. So the blade comes down,
Cleave it.
and you guys can hear that, ching! And the dog splits midair, and with a little cry, falls on the ground, split in two. So you almost cannot believe that you managed to do something so cool in the rain, while the light of the moon was somewhat inundating you. The others are also taken aback by the coolness of your move, but there is no time to lose, and you need to keep running. So you guys turn around, keep running. You can still see the flashlights of people from the forest are coming out in the open field. Somewhat you feel the bullets over your head, next to your arms, but they're not hitting you. The distance between you and the people that are following you is getting greater. When you think that you are safe, you feel the ground trembling. The rain is so strong right now. It's so strong, like you can barely hear each other when you scream directions to each other, like this way, no, be careful, there might be something. But it's really hard to hear each other, because now the rain is just a wall, and the ground starts to rumble. There's something terrible happening, and you realize that a piece of the mountain above you is detaching,
Oh, that's not good.
and an avalanche is coming down, taking with it trees and rocks, and very soon you as well. What do you do to protect yourself?
Okay.
I want to put it there on the table. Like, there's no way you can avoid this avalanche, but you can try to limit the damage.
Can I use my gift that I should have used before? Observer.
Let me double check.
To ask about something important that none of us has noticed yet.
Yes.
So, is there some kind of shelter somewhere that we have not seen?
What you see
Keep you
is some kind of natural. It's not really a cave, but it's some kind of hole in a rock wall that might help you if the avalanche doesn't take down that part as well. It might shelter you from the worst of it.
Okay, so I'll just point at it and shout to the others, down the hole.
Okay, you guys see that Nevin is pointing something. It's really hard to see in the rain, but you realize what's happening. You realize that there's a notion of mud that is soon going to carry you away, and he's pointing at a wall of rock that might help you withstand the worst of it.
I
Okay.
think Phoenix is waiting to go back into the game.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that. I did hear the noise, but wasn't sure what that
So
was.
we're about to die.
Yeah,
What?
Phoenix, I think you might have missed something. I don't know if you heard
My
it.
internet went down.
Sorry.
It's okay. So basically, an avalanche is coming, and Nevin found an area that can potentially like shelter us from it. So we're gonna book it for that. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
We book.
Okay. I think, guys, you all need to do a defense check, because yes, Nevin has seen the place, but it's maybe 150 feet from you. So you need to run fast because this thing is coming down and is carrying trees and is carrying animals and is carrying rocks, and it's bad.
I still have my advantage die for this because I'm moving quick, right? I mean, fast.
Yeah, let me check. I think it is one per scene.
It doesn't say.
That's a good point. I think we need to fix that. But
I'll make a note.
yeah. Actually, no, because you wouldn't be able to do this because it says when you do position check, but you did it before. So I think this is exhaustive
Position
right
check
now.
or defense check. Where moving fast
Yes,
can
but
be
we
an
need.
advantage.
Yeah, you're right. We need to specify once per scene because
Yeah.
otherwise it's too powerful.
Okay,
Schnerfel,
once
make a
per
note.
scene.
We'll fix this. Very well. So I think you all need to do a defense check with reaction, probably, unless you try to do something else. But at this moment, I'm basically asking you to sprint. And the opposition level of the avalanche is 7. But because Nevin has seen this shelter, I lower it to 6. And that's what the system allows you to do when the circumstances allow you. So you can raise by 1 or lower by 1 the opposition level of some kind of threat. How do you guys want to proceed?
I have one advantage dice because I used observer, so that's 4, and then I think I'm gonna. Man, we don't have enough summer for all this shit. Do I have anything?
Well, he's thinking I'm going to just use 2 soma to get a success with consequence.
Yes, you have reaction.
I have a reaction of 4.
Yes.
So if I use 2 soma, that'll be up to 6.
Yes.
And that's reaction with consequence, right?
That is an outcome with a cost.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Consequence.
Yes. Okay. So you do that. Perfect.
And my reasoning for that is that my attention is divided, and I'm trying to ensure that Maya and Nevin are making it there. Even though they are probably faster than me and more capable, I am still really focused on making sure they get there safely.
With, if we choose to roll dice, is this still the using the monad ecosystem? Is it the same fail if it's a complete fail if it's a 1?
Yeah, that's exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think I'm gonna use another gift. I'm gonna use luck, if you allow me to use it, which allows me to have 2 advantage dice. By explaining how pure luck managed to interfere with the situation, how I succeeded. So I'm just gonna say that it's raining, and while I'm sprinting for the wall, I'm just gonna sleep and I'm gonna slide until the end. It's much faster than running.
I'm gonna take my chance.
Okay,
rolling.
just a second. So yes, you use luck. It does allow you. Let me check because I have too many windows open. Yeah, once per crisis. So if you use it now, this is the only time you can use this.
I mean,
for
it's
a
an
whole
advantage.
crisis. A crisis is a long time. But
Yeah,
if you use it now, you get 2 advantage dice, and you need to explain how luck helps you get where you need to be. And you want to use it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
use it. So that gives me 2 dice plus the one for observer is 3. I'm starting from 3, and I'm gonna spend 2 soma to reach 8, which is standard outcome.
No, you would need standard outcome would be 7 because I lowered the.
Oh, sure. So I'm gonna spend 1 soma.
Okay, so you spend 1 soma. Your character has 9 to start with, so you're down to 8.
No, I've done
And
to
you-
7. I spent 1 before.
Oh, you spent one before. Okay. And you roll 2 advantage dice, right?
3.
3. Okay.
Get on our level, dude.
Okay. So as you can see now, we have like 2 of them are successes, but one of them rolled a 1. That's a neutral result. So what it means is that you start from 3 base successes. 2 advantage dice have succeeded, so it's another 2 successes. And then you spend 1 soma, and you get to 6, which is again outcome with a cost, because the third advantage die got a neutral result. Okay.
Yeah.
So you also have a cost. Constantine and Nevin have both a cost. And May, what were you doing?
I'm going to roll because I like living dangerous. Living dangerously. Okay, that's 2 because I have a free action of 4, so I need to roll 2. Right? 2 for a regular.
You have reaction 4. You need at least 2 successes for an outcome with a cost. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay.
And you succeed. Okay, with a cost. Okay, I think that in this case, because half of the mountain is coming down on you, it makes sense that the cost in this case is a wound. You can all decide what kind of wound your character gets when they are pretty much buried alive by all the mud. In Monad Echo, the system of dead air seasons, wounds need to be described because they have impact on the story. Nevin, what would be your wound?
Yeah, I think I would have a concussion or something like that, like a head injury.
Okay, so let me mark it. Nevin. Okay. And then we have Constantine.
I'm trying to think of a interesting wound that isn't just like I got hit by a rock. I'm gonna say that one of the falling, like, because it's a rush of mud and everything, and like one of the like a sharp branch like gouges down the side of my arm.
Okay, cool. So you have like some kind of cut on the arm, or
Yeah, cut on arm. If you wanna put it in that boring way.
which of the 2 arms?
In my mind, we were running to the right, so it'd be my left arm.
Okay, left arm. And May, what happens to you?
So I'm carrying this really heavy thing
Yes.
and end up that it I end up getting caught by something really big, a big part of the avalanche, and I end up dislocating my right shoulder,
Okay.
which is close to reality right now because I have some pain here on my shoulder.
I also have pain in my shoulder, so I feel this very, very close to me.
Because you're old.
Yeah.
Oh, pour cold water onto burnt area.
Very well. So the mud keeps coming. You get buried underneath, and at some point, everything is black. Now we go back some days earlier. Actually, the day before. The day before. Let me put some music. And if you have a notepad, it would be useful now because there's going to be a bunch of characters and we need to remember their names. So that will help you probably.
Oh yeah, I'm
I've got
writing
some
notes.
notes, man.
Notes are essential in RPGs.
Or a good memory. I don't have that.
I don't have keen mind.
You know that, well, you're part of a community. It's called the Nemes Community. Nemes from the name of the guy who started it. And you've been part of this community for a while. You are in the surrounding of a place called Pisino in the Istrian Peninsula, which is, for those who do not know, somewhere. It's a triangular peninsula which is part of both Croatia and Slovenia, and is very close to northeastern Italy. At this point in the game, in the setting, these geographical areas don't mean much anymore because their governments have dissolved. But just for you to have an idea, it used to be a very beautiful touristic area, full of woods and forest on one side, and then it has a beautiful coast that, in the years past, it used to be the place where a lot of tourists from all Europe came to spend their
What's
summer
the name
holidays.
again?
Sorry,
So what's the name of the area?
Istria.
Istria.
Istria. I can paste it in the chat so you can take a look. What else do you know about the situation? So you're stationing in an area of this place called Pisino. Actually, the place where you are at the moment is called Novaki Station, and you have been reached by another community of survivors that are friendly, and they come from what used to be northeastern Italy, the area of Trieste, which is a city on the ex-border between Italy and Slovenia. And you got to know this community in a place called Field 26, which it's some kind of hub where various survivors exchange resources and other rumors, and they spend time together. It's a friendly place, the Field 26. So these people that come from Trieste, therefore, there is Celeste, some kind of railway police, ex-railway police, that lost her family to the blight. Then there is Leonardo, an engineering student that is somewhat passionate about radio communication, so he knows about that. Then there is another guy called Stanislao. He was just a worker on the railway, and somewhat of the four is the one that seems less disturbed by the action of the blight. He seems to dream this kind of world where nature and humankind can live in some kind of harmony, a bit more like the more new age one of the four. And then there is Katerina, which is an ex-pharmaceutical researcher, which is now completely dedicated to the study of the blight. She's never far from her dog Nobel, a very friendly golden retriever. This is only a small part of the community because these guys are basically another small community that reached yours. There are 4 people that have gone to some nearby falls. So the place is called Zareki Krov. The falls of Zareki Krov is really just a few minutes from where you have your encampment. And the people that reach these falls, so there's a big pool where their plan was to have a bath there and have some fun at the falls. And the people that reached the falls are Theomir, Kisha, Goran, and Celeste that we mentioned from the Trieste group. I will repeat them: Theomir, Kisha, Goran, and Celeste.
Keisha. Goran.
Your community is composed by a lot more people, and we will try to learn more about them in a moment. Right now, the atmosphere is quite relaxed. It's autumn. The leaves on trees are red and ochre, and you know that winter is not very, very far. Today, however, it's a very warm and sunny day, and as I mentioned, it's a good chance for some people to relax a bit, going to the nearby falls and the pool. As I mentioned, you are in this small train station, Novaki, together with these allies from Trieste. And the funny thing is that they came with this old train. Didn't check the English translation of this, but the main engine carriage.
Caboose.
What's the name in English?
Caboose.
Caboose. Okay.
I thought Caboose was the last one.
Oh no! Wait! No, not that one. Sorry.
So what would be the name in English of the main engine thing that carries the whole thing?
Usually we just call it the engine.
Okay, so the engine. So
At least from my experience.
Wait.
They have the engine. They have another carriage behind, but they don't have the whole train. And the interesting thing is that this is a very old, stylish train, because at the moment, getting hold of fuel or electricity is basically impossible. So the way this works is pretty much with coal. And they recovered it from some kind of museum. You don't know the whole story, but it's a very old train. However, in this day and age, it's pretty much the only train that can be operated.
That is cool.
You know that the area is fairly secure. There aren't awakened around here, at least as far as you know. Well, the few that you spotted in the vicinities have already been somewhat disabled, because most of them cannot really be killed. So they've been disabled and they've been buried underground, so they wouldn't hurt anybody. What happens with the awakened is that the spore that is in the air takes hold of people that have recently died and commands them like somewhat of some zombies, pretty much. And if you're familiar with those ants in the, I believe it's in the Amazon that get infected with this kind of spore from mushrooms, that can control them to do whatever they want. That's pretty much the principle of how the blight operates. It takes over your body and it controls whatever you do, but your body needs to be dead before it can do that. Everybody at the encampment is busy doing different stuff, and this one is one of those rare moments of tranquility that the world now gives you. I think this is a good moment to check the bond section on your sheets and see with who you have some kind of relationship. Because around the encampment, you can see people doing various things. For example, Misha is somebody we haven't mentioned before. He is this guy that has joined the caravan of Nemes. Nemes, like he's a gypsy, and he goes around with caravans behind him, and basically you're part of this community, and the caravans have become have multiplied in a way. The more people joined, the more caravans joined, and now, well, there's a bunch of people that is going around with you. It is a weakness in a way because it's easy to spot your community, but also it is a strength because you have so many skills and qualifications within the community, and there's strength in number, pretty much. So things that you see around is that Misha is warming up some soup near a fire. One of the guys from Trieste, this Leonardo, is somewhat playing with what looks like an old radio. It's just getting static at the moment, but seems that he's busy trying to do something. You can see Stanislaw and Stanislaw is calling to this Leonardo, saying, "Hey, help me fix the engine." Yeah. So, with whom do you try to speak?
I'm heading for Leonardo. I'm curious about the engine.
Before you ask him about the engine, Leonardo told you something about his past as a student. What was that?
Oh, I have to think about that?
Yeah.
Let's say that Leonardo was not originally. He did not want to be an engineer originally, but he was forced to by his parents.
Okay. What are you asking him about the engine?
I'm asking him, what kind of engine is this? How are we? How do you run this on what fuel? Basically, technical things about how this particular train engine runs, and how they're able to maintain it.
Okay, well, he
Also, you
starts
need to Google
to
it.
explain it to you. Now, I'm not a train expert, so I won't try to improvise something.
Yeah.
But, well, what you're saying, and then he looks at Leonardo, at Stanislao, and they both say, well, we have a problem here. It kind of broke down, and we're trying to figure out what we could do to fix it. However, I think that it might take us several days to come up with something. We might use actually some parts of the radio that Leonardo was playing with there, and then you see Leonardo's face gets darker. It's like, no. I need that. I need that. Like I will. I'm pretty sure that we will hear something useful. We shouldn't really break the radio just to try to get some component for the train. And then they start to squabble over the fact that if they don't do that, it might take them like weeks to get it operational again. And probably the Nemes and the rest of the community, they don't want to wait for them, blah, blah, blah. So that's what.
While they're arguing, may I spend a soma and study this engine? I'm gonna approach the engine and try and study it.
Yeah, okay. So you're using your GIF engineer, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you spend one soma. Well, you can see that there's a valve missing, and yeah, it's not easy to put it together from pretty much anything. Like the easiest way would be to find a functioning one, and the one that they had is cracked and probably cannot be repaired. And if it can be repaired, it might take, as they mentioned, several days.
Okay, so I point this out to them. They seems like you have a broken valve here for your engine. It's probably why why it's broken down. Though these are really hard to find now.
Yeah, we know, and yeah, that's a big issue because now I think I heard somebody talking about it at Field 26, but I need to I need to think about it. What could be the solution? Okay, so you continue your discussion with these guys around the encampment. You can see, for example, Danica is a girl that recently had a kid with Goran, one of the guys that went to the falls right now, and she's taking care of the baby and feeding him and singing a lullaby next to the fire, waiting for the soup to be ready. Um, and then you can see another guy called Stevo. It's he's one of the he's a silent one. He doesn't speak very much. At the moment, he's drawing something on his notebook. You can see that the red sun on the horizon is making his shadow become longer and longer, uh, somehow enhancing the feeling of loneliness that the guy is surrounded with. Um, Nevin,
Yes.
what did
I
what did Stevo told you about his family once?
Oh wow. He told me that he never got to meet his mother. He lived with his father for his whole life, and he believes that he has a brother somewhere in the world, but he doesn't know him.
Okay, are you approaching him or do you approach someone else?
I was about to go to Misha actually.
Okay, all right. So
Um,
the last time he put together a show, like he has these puppets that he takes with him, and
yeah.
he uses it to entertain people in the evenings when there's no television, there's no TV series, there's very little music at the moment. Like only Leonardo has some music with him, and they're always the same two or three records because they're hard to come by. So Misha is pretty much the Netflix of the era, and he tries to come up with new shows all the time, but it's not that easy. It is not that easy. Last time he did a show, you felt really moved. Why was that?
Um, he replayed he played an old child song, like he reenacted it with puppets, and it was well, I only know French ones, so I don't know, a lullaby that we would have heard when we were young, and he reenacted it, and it just made all the old word come back and made me think of the life before the blight.
Okay, okay. What else do you ask him?
I'm gonna go to him. He's handling the soup right now, right? So I'm just gonna go. Hey, Misha, do you need any help for the soup, or is it gonna be ready soon?
Well, okay. He starts to laugh. You can see that you're hungry, um, and says, "Okay, well, taste it. Tell me how it is."
Okay, I'll taste it.
Okay,
Is
how it
it
is?
good?
Roll a defense check.
Yeah.
No, well, it's a stew made. It's a stew made with some roots that he found around. There's at least one potato, which you probably were carrying in the caravan. Um, but well, you think he could use another ingredient? What would that be?
You know, Michelle, when I was young, I only had one thing to eat and I'm really missing it. I think you should add beets in there.
Oh, nice.
Oh well, he looks at you like you just revealed a great truth, and it's like, yeah, yeah, that's the missing ingredient I've been searching all along. I think we have a couple there in the second caravan. I'll go check and we'll try that. I think you're a genius. You're a genius, man. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Um, okay, Constantine, are you approaching anyone in particular, or should I ask you a question? Actually, maybe I should ask you a question about somebody. And I want to ask you about Danica, the girl that has the little baby. Um, she told you that before meeting Goran, the husband, um, she had a really bad experience. She barely escaped with her life. What was this experience, and how did she manage to join your community?
The experience had been that she been in the woods when and we're not sure if we necessarily believe her, but she said that a creature that looked like it was just like a giant walking stick insect, or like just an amalgamation of sticks, that's how she described it, we don't know what it is, tried to drag her and put her into a tree, but she managed to hit into one of its joints and it tumbled, and in that moment she just scrambled and ran as hard as she could, and she doesn't know what would have happened if she was put inside that tree, but she knows it's not good.
Okay. Well, what you know about the dangers that roam outside of the safety net of the community is that, well, animals have gone wild, but that's not the biggest problem. Some of them have been infected with the blight, um, but they are not aggressive. Most of them, at least, they're not aggressive. Um, the worst outcome of the blight is definitely on humans for some reason. However, um, there are things that, for lack of better terms, you and others that you have met around your during your journey, called chimeras, and these chimeras are somehow animals that are so wildly mutated by the blight that they have developed special abilities or things that a normal animal wouldn't be able to perform in any significant to any significant degree. And very often their shape and their form is something completely new. It's not even close to. Actually, they do resemble maybe the starting point, but they have mutated so wildly, they have transfigured into something else. And not all of them are aggressive, but they can be. So the story about the stick insect, it doesn't sound completely impossible. It does sound weird because usually what the blight does is creating this more organic kind of creatures, and insects are not affected as bad as other animals, uh, but you cannot rule it out because there are uh, weird stuff now in the woods,
Wait,
especially if they come from these crimson zones, which are areas where the blight is has a particular high concentration.
and we've definitely brought that up to her, and her response was that that was the best description she had. She doesn't know if it was truly an insect, only that it reminded her of it. So there's plausible deniability there.
Well, another thing that Danica told you is that she used to be an actress before everything went to shit. Um, so you suspect that maybe she's being a bit dramatic about it. But that said, well, you know that she had this child with Goran, and it wasn't the easiest birth. It was difficult. She was in danger. Uh, Medical supplies are very short these days, so you know that shit happens. So you might kind of believe her a bit.
Hmm.
All right. So, what else do you know about the other members of the community? Well, first of all, Nemes, the guy that started the whole thing. Um, he's a descendant from a long um, legacy of gypsies, and he's the last survivor of the previous community he was part of. Uh, Pretty much no one discusses his authority in here, and his decisions so far have been right and mostly convenient for the rest of the community. So you trust him. He's on the older. He's an older guy, over 50, um, and that shows also on his face, which is marked uh, with the tribulations of these past few years. However, his spirit is strong and still very friendly. Then Tiomir, one of the guys that went to the falls, he was one of the first members of this community. Um, Curiously, he is affected by the Down syndrome. Um, and you don't know if for this reason or it's completely unrelated, but he has some kind of connection with the blight. Um, and he has become what others call a provectus. Uh, Provectus are those rare humans that seem to have a different connection with what's happening, and maybe for this reason, he is incredibly strong and incredibly resistant to pretty much anything. Every time you had troubles, he was your first and often last line of defense. Um, Thanks to the help of Nemes, he put these skills that he has uh, in service of the whole community. He's always very friendly, cares for the others, and pretty much he has a heart of gold. Everybody trust and like him. Then you know about Kisha, a little kid. She also went to the falls. Tiomir is particularly close to her. She's also part of the Nemes family since pretty much the beginning. The circumstances surrounding her birth have somewhat marked the way she perceives the world. She's It's not easy to deal with her. She's always silent. When she speaks, um, she often makes noises that don't make much sense to you. Um, and sometimes you can see that she's staring in the void, in the emptiness, and she seems to be speaking to someone that is not there. So you don't know exactly what she's doing, but um, well, when she's like that, usually either Nemes or Tiomir can bring her back to whatever she's doing. Um, and well, everybody thinks that maybe something happened when she was born that made her this way. But Nemes has never really spoke about it, and you don't even know if the guy knows what that um, what those circumstances were. And then the other guy that went to the falls, Goran, is the husband of this Danica you were talking with. Used to be a woodworker, and he was working in a small town close to Opatia, which is a village well, it's a village, it's a city actually, in Istria. And when the day of the blight came, he looked for refuge far from the big cities with his family. But they weren't as lucky as him because one after the other, they got infected with the blight. So when he joined the community, he was this broken man, and together with the others, Nemes gave him a new reason to be part of a community and try to look towards a brighter future if possible. Then a couple of people you haven't spoken with. There's Adam. He's the right hand of Nemes. He comes from a city called Fiume. I forget the translation in English, but I'll find out. He used to be a soldier, so he's very useful in the community because he's somewhat one of the protectors of this community. He's very cautious in everything he does and tries to avoid every kind of conflict if possible. Because you have the feeling that he wants to distance himself from his bloody past. And then the last one is Dragon, a very, very big man, but also a very peaceful man.
Dragon?
Sorry?
Dragon?
Dragon, yes. He spent most of his life isolated in the woods, so he's some kind of survivalist. And right now, he's your best hunter. So when you need game, or even if you need to get rid of some threat, Dragon usually is one of those that goes out. As Tilmir is also a Provectus and can interact somehow with the Blight. And you can distinguish the people that have this special ability because their iris, the iris in their eyes is a very particular shade of green. Okay. Is there anyone else you want to talk with? Now we have a lot of names. I'm very aware that there's a lot of names, but that's why I ask you for a notebook.
I'm just gonna go with my personal preference, and Katarina's got a dog, and I feel that Constantine would like to sit with the dog and find comfort in its peacefulness.
Okay. She told you once how she met her dog. What did she tell you?
So she used to be a pharmaceutical worker, you said, right?
Yeah.
So she worked in the big city, and because of that, she didn't have a car. She would walk back and forth. And one day when she looked down in an alley, she saw a box that was just kind of like moving. And, she's not exactly horror genre savvy. She's just like, oh, I'm going to open the box that's clearly moving. And when she opened it, she found a puppy someone had just abandoned in a box by a dumpster. And she goes, well, no, that's not, I'm not going to accept that. So she brought the dog in and started checking with vets to see if it was safe and, got all its shots. And by the time she had taken care of it long enough to make sure it was healthy, she had already been in love. The dog was everything that she wanted. She was like, okay, I'm keeping you. You're my dog now.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to ask her?
Well, I'm mostly there for the dog, but obviously I'm going to politely inquire onto how she's doing, but I'm obviously kind of shy about it.
Sorry, can you say again? What is your question?
And just I'm like I said, I'm mostly there to pet the dog,
Okay,
but
so you play with the dog, and Noble is very happy that you're there. You're clearly good with dogs, um, and even though maybe it doesn't suit your coolness factor that you're trying to have at all times, you actually really enjoy playing with animals. And you remember that before the blight, you were spending quite a lot of time on the internet checking dogs videos. That's your secret. May and Nevin, you can take a look at your bonds in the sheets if you want to approach one of those characters. Um, for the purpose of this quick start adventure, it's mostly just to build kind of narrative with all these characters. In the final game, there will be an XP related mechanic with your main bonds. You will be able to tap into your bonds, ask them for favors or things like that. And if you explore the bonds, especially with other characters, and they change over time, you will be able to gain XPs that you will be able then to spend to grow your character. But for now, it's just mostly to get to know who's around, pretty much.
I think Nevin would have taken a bowl of stew to bring to Katarina, but then he would find Constantine there. I would go just, nope. I would go back, and he would go to Nemes with the bowl of stew.
Okay, well, Nemes is reading a book. He's sitting on an old chair that he carries around with him all the time. Jokingly, in the community, it is called The Throne. What is the book that he's reading?
He's reading he's reading a book that has been passed down in his through generations of his gypsy community. It's like the log of their travels, and he's reading it, but it's not a real book. It's like a file of papers that they just keep adding to the story of his caravan.
All right, so he seems intent in. He's not reading out loud, but you can see on his lips that he's kind of probably is that kind of person that never really learned to read silently, so they have to somewhat pronounce whatever they're reading, but he's trying to do it very very quietly so that people wouldn't notice. He seems surprised when you approach, and a bit maybe embarrassed that you catched him while he was doing this thing with his lips. Hey, Nevin.
Hey,
how's it going?
Good. I was just wondering if you wanted some stew, maybe. It's the first batch, but we're gonna try to improve it with Misha later. But right now, it's all we have.
Oh yeah. I saw that he ran to the one of the caravans. What is he going to get there? Like, there's something missing? Let me taste. And then he takes the soup and.
How did that go again?
So, what do you think?
Sound effect shaming. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty good. I must say, what did you suggest to him?
Yeah,
to add something?
I thought maybe a little bit of beets.
Oh, that's a very good idea. I think we should still have a couple. Soon, I'm afraid that we will need to send out maybe Dragon or Adam. I'm not sure to hunt. I think when was the last time we ate some meat?
Oh, we had meat at some point. I don't remember. It's been
probably it's been some time. I think that this area there should be deers or something like that. I'm pretty sure that we can get some. At the very least, we could go to the pool there where the guys are having fun, and maybe there's some fish there. I think that would be a good idea. Even though I don't know what happened to our fishing rods. I'm afraid that we broke them last winter. I need to check what's left.
Yeah, well, I can help. I can probably try to craft something, or I could go hunt even if you want me to. I'm really here to help.
Yeah, of course. Hey, I'll come with you, and let's sit in front of the soup while we wait for the final touch, and maybe after dinner. What do you say?
Okay.
Anyway, it seems that the guys are having troubles with the train. We're gonna stay here a few more days, I think. So we're not really in a rush for this evening. I think we're all set. May, um, anyone else you're approaching?
Yes, after thoroughly grilling the other two about their locomotive, I'm going to go over to Danica
Yes.
because I'm actually very I have a sort of like affectionate bond with her.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check on her and her baby and probably coo at the baby a bit.
Okay. You know the baby's called Nada, and
Nada?
you know that what happened with the baby was that basically when you realized that Nada was about to Danica was about to give birth, you were very far from hospitals or places with medicines or anything that could be somewhat helpful for a pregnant woman in about to give birth. So, in addition, one of the issues was that one of the caravan had a broken wheel, uh, and so a group of scouts was sent forward to figure out a place where Danica could give birth in peace without being um, without subjecting the whole community to some kind of the possibility to being attacked or maybe simply having some issues with the birth and pretty much that there's absence of doctors because no one in your community is really a doctor. There are scientists, there are researchers, but not really doctors. um, and in the end you found some shelter in one monastery that was under siege by some other community. You helped clear it out, and the surviving monks, helped you give birth to helped Danica give birth through some medicine that wasn't exactly the medicine that you would find before the day of the blight in pills or injections or whatever. They offered
Mhm.
you one of these rare fruits that come that grow in the places where the blight is more concentrated. And some of these fruits have medicinal effects, and some have other effects. But in this case, it was something that made sure that she wouldn't have hemorrhages, that the baby was turned the right way, and well, it was something really precious that they gave you.
Okay. So Danica, how's little Nada here?
Well, she's cradling her. Is that the word?
Cradle.
Cradling. Cradling.
And then she said, "Do you wanna hold her?"
Yes, please.
Okay, then she gives you little Nada, and the baby's cooing to you, and she seems quite happy that
Oh,
she's in your arms.
Oh.
oh, so cute.
Knowing how difficult it was to give birth to her, you are very, very happy that in the end, such a beautiful and healthy baby joined the community because these days, babies are a rarity. Very few people uh, start a family these days. Like no one really is happy about the situation, and only in the most isolated communities or um, you know that well sadly enough only through violence babies are born these days. It's rare that two people decide to have a kid because for many people there's not much to look forward to.
Mhm.
Your community itself is just wandering around, but there isn't really a goal. It's mostly like, let's see if we can see another day, another week, another month. So sometimes these kind of dark thoughts come to your mind. And when you see little nada, you somewhat have a bit more hope for the future. Or at least that's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. You can tell me if that's.
Yeah, I see hope when look at Nada, and internally, one of my thoughts are is that my internal thoughts about her is that this is a precious life, and we have to protect her.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Well, so time passes, and the sun sets behind the trees around the small station where your encampment is, and you can see that the sky is getting darker. It seems that soon there might be rain. There are these dark clouds on the horizon, and
Is
very
rain
very far,
dangerous?
very far, very um, distant, you can hear thunder. However, for now, um, a noise that you attracts your attention more is the crackling of the fire and the happy conversations your companions are having. Maybe the sound of an owl on a tree now that the night is falling. You can see Adam and Nemes on the side of sitting on a piece of wood close to the fire. Um, they seem to be speaking about something important. They seem a bit preoccupied, but nothing too serious. However, the more the time passes, the more their face darkens, and after a while, you perceive there is some tension in the air, and it takes you a while to understand exactly why. But then you realize that Theomir and the others that went to the falls have not returned yet. And while you're thinking this and maybe exchanging the first words between yourself about this, you see
They're mhm.
you see a silhouette emerging from the woods. And here, guys, I would take 10 minutes of break. Welcome back. Before we went on a break, we noticed a silhouette emerging from the woods that was approaching the community assembled around the fire for dinner. Um, Let me start a bit of music. So, the first thing you see are these two bright green eyes. A Provectus is emerging from the woods, and all of a sudden it's silent around the fire. It's Theomir. and he's carrying on his shoulder Celeste, one of the people from Trieste. He comes closer, and you can see that he's covered in blood, and his clothes are ripped with plenty of wounds marking his giant body. Celeste seems to be unconscious, but she doesn't seem wounded in any way. There's no trace of Goran, the husband of Danica, and the little Kisha.
Constantine is immediately on his feet and moving to Tiamir to help, like maybe take the burden of Celeste and see what needs to be done.
The people from Trieste reach behind you and help you carrying the body of Celeste down from the shoulder of Tiamir. At the same time, Danica starts crying, holding her little child to herself.
I put my arm around Danica and comfort her. Try and comfort her.
You can see that Misha is putting away some of his puppets and seems to start running towards some kind of one of the wagons where you keep weapons. Stevo, the guy that was drawing on a notepad, seems to be speaking to himself, very nervous, very upset by what he's seeing. And the wood around the fire becomes somewhat more silent and darker. What do you want to do?
What happened to Amir?
Tiamir says, we were playing with water and everybody was laughing. Kisha was very happy, and she was laughing more than anyone else, more than me even. And Goran said, let's go home. But then these people on horses came from behind the trees, and they hit Goran in the head. They were so many, at least 20, I think. I didn't count. I cannot count. I was fighting like Adam was teaching me, but couldn't stop all of them. She's gone. They took her. They took Kisha and they run away. I tried to stop them, but I wasn't able to. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. And then he starts crying. And it's a weird spectacle to see this kind of this giant of a man covered in blood, clearly survived a really difficult battle. It's really heartbreaking to see him cry that way.
Wait, just to clear out, Gorim and Kisha were taken, or just Kisha?
No, Goran was hit on the head, and Kisha, the little girl, was taken.
Okay.
Where is Goran then?
Where's Gorim?
I don't know. I couldn't see it anymore. I had to take Celeste and come here. I had to warn you of what happened.
Constantine, I know you shouldn't split the party, but he's going to immediately start running down the path to see if he can, because head wounds aren't terrible if they're caught in time, and maybe Goran's still alive. So he's going to run and try to see if he can find what happened to Goran.
Okay. What about the others?
I'll go check on Celeste and the NTOBR, making sure they're not badly hurt, and see if there's anything to do to any wounds that needs to be tended to right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, she's with the people from Trieste, and you take a look, and no, she just seems unconscious. You don't know if she got hit or maybe she just lost conscious because of what was happening. She's a bit scratched in parts, but not really. Nothing seems really serious, and she's like the guys around her are already trying to wake her up. May?
Yeah, as soon as I see um, Theomir start to cry, I'm gonna quickly just check on Dan. Gonna quickly tell Danica I'm gonna check on Theomir real quickly. Just stay here and stay calm, okay? Then I'm
Yeah,
gonna go over to
I don't know.
him.
I have a really bad feeling about this. I have a really bad feeling. She's saying.
It's okay. I will. Constantine will find out what happened to Gorham. Stay calm, okay? And then I'm gonna walk over to Theomir.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
he's sitting with rage. You know that he realizes that something really bad happened.
hey, buddy. Uh, you wanna talk? How did they get you guys?
I'm really sorry. I was on the ground. I wasn't able to move, and um,
It's
I
okay. It
I
wasn't your
couldn't
fault.
I couldn't I couldn't see them. I could just hear them. They took Kisha, and she was crying and screaming, and one of them said to the others that uh, they should ride to Copper somewhere. I don't know what is Copper. I don't know, and not to stop. They said don't stop, and they said Kisha is something really precious, and they would get a good reward for it, and that their boss would be very happy, very happy. But Kisha is not. Kisha is not their reward. Kisha is my friend.
I know.
I tried
She's
to
our
stop
friend.
them.
I understand. I know, buddy. It's hard. They took you by surprise. It's not your fault. We're gonna get her back, okay?
Okay, Constantine, you're running down the path, and even if the moon at this point is shining in the sky, it's hard to see where you're putting your feet.
Hmm.
Um, Far from the fire, the coldness of the autumn is like you can really feel it, and your breath is condensing in small clouds in front of your face while you're running as fast as you can. But luckily, the trip is short. And as soon as you get out from the trees, what you see is a small lake, more like a pond, really. And then there are this there's this water that comes down from one of the walls of rocks in front of you, what they call the falls. And well, the at this point, like you're out of the trees, and the light from the moon allows you to see what's happening. Uh, on your side of the little lake, there are maybe 10 corpses. None of them looks like Goran, and on the corpses, it's clear that there are signs of the recent struggle, and the wounds that you see on their body, you know who made them, and Tiomir made them,
Hmm.
because you can see broken bones, you can see faces that are caved in, and you can see rib cages that have been cracked. by the inhuman force that Theomir can express when he's angry. There's a strong smell of blood, and you can already see the first sign of the blight that will soon bloom on these bodies if something is not done to them very quickly. But even though you know what's going to happen soon, your attention is drawn to some kind of lament that comes from the wood. You don't recognize any specific word, just some lamentation.
Is it a voice I recognize?
Sorry?
Is it a voice that I recognize?
It's hard to say. It's somebody badly hurt for sure.
Is it male or female?
It's male.
Okay. And you're saying I do not see Goran anywhere.
No.
Okay,
Actually, while you hear this sound, you also hear another sound from the top of the waterfall. It's someone asking for help, and you can hear some chewing going on. So there's a sound on your left in the woods, and there is a sound on the top of the waterfall, some maybe 30 feet above you. You would need to go up on the sides, and it looks very slippery. While you decide, guys at the encampment, are you staying there or you're going to the waterfall?
After I made that promise to Tiomir to get Keisha back, I'm gonna grab a weapon and probably a repurposed flashlight of my own design and go after Constantine.
Yeah. As soon as I see that there is no one that's badly hurt here and that I don't have any reason not to go, I'll go.
Okay, do you grab anything from the stash that Misha was reaching out to, or?
Yeah. What would I pick? I think I would probably pick something like if we have a screwdriver or something like that, like something that we would use, something light.
Okay.
No firearm, that's for sure.
Okay, well, sure. You find like toolbox with screwdrivers inside.
Yeah, I'll pick the sharpest one. Not a fighter.
I mean, I'm assuming I'm leading now. I'm holding like, since I'm basically I'm a tinkerer in this. May is a tinkerer, so she would probably have repurposed the flashlight with an alternative battery or something, and she's gonna use that to lead the way back to the falls. And she's also holding a weapon, but she's holding like a modified gun, something like that.
Okay, modified in which way?
The gun itself has like what do I call that? I guess you could say it's a pistol that's a semi-automatic pistol with
Okay.
like just a semi-automatic pistol.
Okay. All right. So May leads the way. She has a torch with her, and very quickly you get to the waterfalls because it's much easier to not fall or somewhat catch a branch or something on the ground that would make your life a lot more painful. Um,
When they arrive, I would like to have been started
yeah.
climbing the waterfall
Okay.
because like the person that's actively asking for help seems like the more important individual. Though you never told me if it sounds like a male or not.
Yeah, that sounds like a male as well.
Okay, so I will be trying to do that, and if I hear them coming, I will shout that there's someone in the forest that needs help.
Okay. I think you need to do a defense check to
Okay.
climb over the waterfall.
Okay.
Um, this is a threat. It's a slippery ground, and the opposition level is 4.
What am I doing?
How are you? Describe how you are climbing this thing.
Okay, so it's a rock face, correct?
Yeah.
So I would be using bouldering techniques. I would kick off my shoes so that I'd have better purchase with my toes. And use bouldering techniques to ascend up the rock face.
Okay. Probably this is a body test, I would imagine, or it could be also reaction because bouldering is quite a lot about knowing when to jump and how to attach yourself to the rock face. But I would say maybe it's a body
Okay.
body check. And in this case, you already have 5,
I'm at
so
5.
you are already succeeding. Have an outcome with a standard outcome, so you can already do it without any complication. Are you
Okay.
happy with that?
Yep.
Okay. So you get up, and what you see is a couple of what you call the wanderers. These are the most basic form of awakened that you have encountered so far, that are kneeling over a body, and it's not Goran. It's apparently one of these men. He's dressed more or less like those corpses that you found at the bottom. They're kneeling over him, and they are their face is inside his rib cage, and they are chewing, and they are biting, and they are eating something. But the guy's not dead yet. He's just in extreme pain.
Well, I don't think there's any fixing that. If they're inside his rib cage, so I'm gonna take my sword and try to cut off his head to put him out of his misery.
Okay. The awakened seem to be fully concentrated on that. Um, well, I think you just do it because they haven't noticed you necessarily yet. They are so close to pulsating flesh and fresh flesh that they're not paying you any attention until they hear the sound of something being cut. And in this case, you confirm that you cut his head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, your sword falls down on him, and you clean you cut his head clean, like it was guillotine or something like that. At that point, when your sword touches the rock, uh, they turn their head towards you, and you can see on their face the sign of the blight. There is some kind of there are roots that are running up their face. There are flowers that are coming out the eye of one of these awakened, and there is juicy, fresh flesh that they just ripped from the man's stomach. And they're looking at you like they're still very, very hungry. You guys arrive below, and what you see at the moment is just Constantine standing on top of the waterfall, looking down to something, but you cannot really see what's going on. And you also hear a sound from the wood to your left. What do you do?
Yeah. He told us to go left, so I think we're going left. Well, I'm going left.
I'm not telling you to go left.
No, not you.
No,
Constantine
not
said.
me. I told them.
Okay.
And I don't really want Nevin to accidentally kill himself. So I'm gonna go with Nevin.
Oh, when I say I'm going left, I'm waiting for you to go left first. That's the basic.
Okay, I see. I see, coward. Okay, come on. Come with me.
Oh, I'm taking lead. I'm just second in lead. That's all.
Sure. I believe you. I roll my eyes when my back is turned.
Okay, so you enter the wood, and you see a body that has been probably crawling from the side of the sorry, the side of the little lake to the wood. And now that you approach him, you can see that there's this trail of blood behind him, and he's face down, still trying to crawl deeper into the woods. And you recognize the clothes. It's Goran.
Gorim, hey. I run over. Hey, Gorim.
Well, you run over, you crouch over him, and he turns, and you can see immediately that his skin is becoming transparent, and there are these very, very black capillaries underneath. And somewhat the first signs of the blight taking over are already appearing from his ears and from his mouth. You see some little flower blooming already. He looks at you for a second, and for that split second, he seems to recognize you. And then he bites.
And when
I like that he recognizes then bites. How rude.
yeah, do I get
He tries to bite the hand that you use to support yourself on the ground. So do a defense check against the opposition level 4. I would say this is probably a reaction roll, a reaction check, and
yeah.
I'd say that normally the opposition level here would be 4, but because somewhat you didn't expect him to try to bite you, it would be 5.
Yeah. Ew,
How rude.
rude. Okay. This is a new scene, so
You could still use the quick gift, but your reaction is already 4. So your gap would be only 1 to get an outcome with a cost.
You could go for that increment.
Or you can try the increment, yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll use quick, so that's 5 and fine, I'll use a soma.
So you're using the gift quick.
Yeah, and then a soma for the increment.
Okay. Do you want to roll the advantage die just to make sure that it doesn't come out neutral?
Sure. Let's try that.
So
Um,
every result except one, it's a success. One becomes neutral, and then it will lower your outcome. Okay, two, perfect. You manage. So he snaps at you, but you're so fast in your movements, even though it was an unexpected thing, that you managed to sit back,
I
and
instinctively move back.
yeah, you move back, and not only you manage to fall to safety, but also you stand and are ready for an attack. What like is there any other increment you would like to get? We can discuss this, but
Get it in the process of me standing. Can I accidentally kick him?
yeah, of course. Yeah, let's do that. So you stand and you kick him, and he rolls over, and you can see that yes, he's been beaten. He's been beaten, and well, he still looks like the Goran you know. And for a moment, when you kick him, he seems really wondering, why did you kick me, man?
Why
Don't
But
you have a
then
heart? Why did you
that
kick me?
disappears. That disappears very quickly because clearly this thing that happened to him is still in process, and he might still have a bit of humanity that might make him hesitate for a split second. Nevin,
Yeah, so I can clearly see that he's been taken by the blight. Um, yeah, I'll tell May. Well, there's not much to do here. Should we go back, or are we trying to get rid of him forever? What's the standard procedure when you find your friend being blighted? I don't. Is there? What do we do?
Well, Nevin, when you find yourself blighted, when you find your friend blighted, you do this. And I point my gun at Gorham's head.
okay,
And
you do that.
Before she shoots, wait, there's one thing I would like to do before she shoots. I'd like to use observer to see if there is any other blighted thing coming our way that would be warned by the shot, or anything that would be warned by the shot and would come to get us.
Well, warned by the shot, I mean, the gun makes noise, so
Yeah.
that's a fact. And it's night, and you are in a somewhat enclosed area where the boom of the gun could echo somehow. Uh, but you don't see any other awakened in the vicinity at the moment. Of course, the moment she shoots, somebody could be alerted. Yes.
Maybe we could just ask Constantine to use his sword. Would be maybe a bit more silency, like not attract attention, survive, things like that.
Okay. While you're having this great conversation, Goran starts to stand up. I mean, he's not waiting
Okay,
for
never
you
mind, shoot
to.
him.
yeah, no. And I shoot. I
Okay.
aim at his forehead and I shoot.
All right. I'll ask you again to roll because you have a special attachment to Danica, right?
Yes, I do.
So
And this is making me.
you're trying to kill her husband after all she went through.
Yeah, this is giving me. I was just gonna say, this is giving me pain to even just do this. But I know there's really no. I don't know if there's a cure, and I know for sure there's not a cure right now, so there's nothing we can do for Gorham. This brings me great pain, but my companion is useless, so I think I'll have to do it.
Wow, rude.
Do I do? Do I need?
So you would have against opposition level 5.
Yeah. What do I roll? I mean, what would I use for this?
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, yes. This is a great question because I think at this point it would be determination. Determination is an attribute that you use when you are facing things for the first time, or you're facing things that make you hesitate, or you're afraid to do something. So this is a perfect application of determination.
Okay, determination. My determination is 2. Whew.
Yeah, because you're putting on brave face, but what you're about to do, it's
It's
actually something
really,
you don't really
really,
want.
really painful for me.
Yes.
Could I like help her, like go telling her go for it, do it, like pressure her into doing it?
Kill the
Well,
guy.
I don't think you're very convincing at the moment. She's killing.
Shoot the
She's trying
monster.
to kill the.
I'm about to kill a friend.
Yeah.
Shut up. Yeah, I do actually say that.
I'll take a
And
step back.
what's the opposition level?
5.
5. Do I risk it?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Roll 3.
So you're rolling 3, okay?
Roll 3 for a standard or with a consequence?
No, now that would be standard.
Okay. Ugh, no.
Okay.
It
Well,
tracks though.
actually, you hit Goran, and you hit him on a cheek,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see a piece of his face that flies off, and ends up on the ground behind him. But he's not
My aim is shaky.
stopping, and he's like, you can see now his mouth is completely dislocated, and his jaw is open, like in a way that is completely unnatural. And he's looking at you, and again, for a moment, you seem to see in his white eyes the question, why, May? Why you're shooting me? And then you realize one pretty obvious thing. You've been knowing this all along, but usually it's not you really getting rid of the awakened, that these things don't really die. You can get rid of them. You can bury them. You can try to burn them. You can try to cut them to pieces and make them inoffensive. But if you just shoot them, most of the time they just don't stop.
Crap. Forgot that.
So we have
So
a
it's
gun and a
he's kind
screwdriver.
of
What are we gonna
coming in
do?
front of you like,
But his jaw is not
like
working.
he's not saying May, but the gargle
It's
that he,
disturbing for me because
yeah, it sounds a bit like he's trying to call your name.
Well, at least now that you shoot half of his face off, he doesn't look like your friend anymore.
Okay,
Shut
let's
up,
go back.
Nevin. Shut up.
Let's go back to the top of the waterfall. Constantine, they're both looking at you.
I am like, I'm about to like peace out because there's literally no reason to stay up there once I realize that's not Goron. So I would like to. How high up is the waterfall and how deep is the water?
The waterfall is about 30 feet, which,
Okay.
if I'm correct, is about 10 meters.
Yep. That's jumpable.
Yeah, it's jumpable. You think that the water should be deep enough?
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna I ain't gonna hesitate. I'm just gonna turn around and book it and jump off the waterfall into the water to get away from these things as quickly as possible.
Okay, you know that though these things are not necessarily slow. There are other awakened that are faster. Some of the wanderers are actually called blitzers because they sprint. But the normal ones, even these wanderers, they're not slow. They're just clumsy. But because you're so close to them, they both try to reach out and stop you before you can jump. Now, because they are in two and they get stronger the more they are, you will have to do a defense check with drawback dice. Drawback die, sorry. And I think what would be the best attribute here? Probably, I'd say determination, because now you have to jump about 30 feet with two of these things that are trying to grab you. So it's more of a leap of faith, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say either body or determination, or
Yeah.
probably reaction. Sorry.
So
Um,
the position level is 4, but you have to roll one of these drawback dice.
I have to. I can't just throw some at this.
No, the only way you have to get rid of them if something gives you an advantage die. Otherwise, you have to roll it. That's
Hmm.
the beauty of them. Remember that if they roll between 3 and 6, then it's still a normal success.
This is why I play zombies in zombie survival games.
um. Hmm. Okay. I don't think I have any gifts that are gonna help me fight this. I was taking a chance to look at that. Oof. Okay, so I'm doing a single disadvantage die.
Okay, but
No,
yeah,
that's
but
my question I'm asking.
yeah, you just rolled one, uh,
Ah,
and you failed.
failed.
Okay. Um,
This is going great.
well, okay. Let's do like this. You
We're gonna
you do jump.
die.
You do jump, but one of them is attached to you. Like he basically grabbed your jacket or something, and he comes down with you. So from from the middle of the forest, you can hear a big splash, like more than one person fell into the lake. Let's go back to Goran for a second. Um, yeah, he's really confused. He has this giant wound on his face, but he's still moving towards you. He's not
Is
inoffensive
his
yet.
jaw still
I,
moving or is it still functional? Because that's half of his face. I'm pretty sure that this is.
Like half of his jaw is kind of dangling from below. His mouth is completely
So there's
open.
no way of biting me anymore,
He
right?
doesn't look like Goran anymore. Yeah, but he can still try to uh, wound you somehow with his nails or something else. So you don't really want to be around him.
yeah, I'm gonna look at my screwdriver, and I'm gonna wait for him to step on a big root or something like that, and I'm gonna try to nail one of his feet with the screwdriver, so he
Okay.
will be stuck, and then we're gonna book it.
Okay.
Would
Let's say that yeah, actually there is a root. Like he's stepping on a root. You know that if you try to do that on the wet soil, it might not stick. But if you manage to hit him at the right time, you can basically nail him to a root of a tree, and then
Yeah,
he
that's
might
what I'm gonna do.
be unable to move from there. Um, this is really tricky, and I think it's well, all your attributes are the same, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe it's a reaction, like you need to catch him at exactly the right moment.
Okay.
And is the opposition level now? I would say it's 4 for you because you didn't care about Goran at all, even when you
Oh
arrived.
yeah. The second I'm gonna nail him, I'm gonna be well. Nice knowing you.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah. So
So
it's
it will
4.
be 4. Um, I think I'm just gonna spend 2 soma for this to have standard
Sorry,
outcome.
you spend 1 summer
2.
or 2. Okay. So let me just write it down.
I'm down to 5.
You're not down to 5 because this is happening before the other scene, so you are
Oh
still
yeah, I
full
was
now.
about to ask you. We have the full soma.
Yeah, you have the full summer now.
oh we're back to
Yeah, yeah.
e.
Because this is happening before the
Ah,
first scene.
okay.
Okay, so I'm at 7 now.
So you're at 7. Okay. Good. Yeah, you do it. You can feel the screwdriver entering the wood. Goran looks down, very confused. Like you can feel the slime that is falling on your arm and part of your head. He's basically spitting blood and spores and shit on you, but not enough probably to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And he tries to move the foot, and you can see that you basically nailed him in place. He's super
Okay.
confused, tries to reach for you, then he falls again. His foot goes in a weird position, but he cannot escape from the trap you prepare for him.
Okay, I'm gonna turn to May. I'm gonna go. Well, I think that's the best we can do right now. So why don't we run now?
Okay,
Yeah.
you get out of the wood, and you see emerging from the water. Actually, let's see who. uh, Constantine, you have these awakened attached to your. Let's say that he's attached to your leg now, and he's trying to drag you down because they cannot swim. But if you can't get rid of his hand, he might keep you underwater.
I am repeatedly trying to kick him with the leg that isn't held right in the head. Get off of me.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that because Constantine has such a high value in the body, 5. Even if I would raise the difficulty of the awaken, you would still be able to get rid of it. However, that would be an outcome with a cost. Are you happy with that?
Sure, costs are more interesting.
Okay. He wounds you. He wounds you, but you manage to kick him, and you emerge while he goes down into the depths of the little lake. You see Constantine coming out of the water, and he seems very agitated. What do you say? What do you say, Constantine?
Son of a bitch, fucking blighters.
Uh-huh.
Really? Well,
As soon as you are on the shore, you check and you see that across your shin you have some kind of deep cut, and that would assign you 1 point of contamination. We can mark it somewhere.
Oh, I will.
I can explain what happens with contamination. Basically, every time you are exposed somehow to the blight, or you get wounded by somebody who's infected, you get contamination points according to how serious is the wound or the event. You might get 1, 2, or 3 usually. When you reach 10, you are at the point of no return. That means that if you pass that point, you can never go back. And then you become what is called a walker, which is a shorter version of a walker between words. You are not an awakened yet, but you cannot go back to being human anymore. And for a short period of time, you're somewhere in between. And you, in the final version of the game, you will be able to enjoy some special gifts that you get only when you are at this point. You're contaminated past the point of no return. Some communities are completely formed of walkers between the worlds. However, it is this kind of limbo that somewhat is signaling the sunsetting of your character, because it is almost inevitable that at some point you will get more contamination, more contamination points. And every time you get those, then you will have to do a special check. And at some point, it's pretty much inevitable that you turn into an awakened. But before doing that, you will have time for one last heroic action. However, before the point of no return, there are ways for you to cure these contamination points, but it's not relevant for this specific scene. All right. Now that you're all together and most threats are far from you, in a way, what do you do?
I would like. There are corpses all around, right?
Yeah.
Just
You can see little plants coming up very quickly on their bodies. You know that
Right.
sooner or later these will wake.
Okay, so I would just like to try to see if we can find anything that would tell us where they're coming from. If there is any sign that would help us tracking those that actually left with Keisha.
Let me check. Actually, I think that the one that knew more was the survivor on top of the waterfall that Constantine has decapitated.
Yep.
So yeah, no, you don't find anything very useful except that, well, some of them had weapons that you can bring back to the camp, maybe.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna take a real weapon this time.
Well, actually,
I'm
the
gonna.
screwdriver was
I'm
on it.
going to not so subtly trip Nevin, as I'm also gathering weapons.
What? What? Why?
Shut up.
Yeah, I won't press it. It's I can see there.
I'm.
see why
I'm.
they're
The,
bad.
you can see that I'm usually hyperactive, but at the moment I'm a little bit more subdued and kind of
Yeah.
grumpy.
I'll shut my mouth for once and I'll just pick up the weapons and then I think we're booking it, right? Back to the camp.
I'm going to very grimly say we need to burn these bodies before they attack the rest of the people at camp.
Well, you know that behind you, some other people are coming. Misha is appearing with some more weapons, and then there's the fighters of the group have also come after they made sure that Tiomir is not in serious
Condition.
danger. And well, they look at you. You explain what happened. It all happened very quickly. They say, "Well, we can take care of this. Don't worry. Just go back to the camp and let's regroup in a moment to figure out what to do. We need to get Kisha back. We can't leave her in the hands of these kidnappers and thieves and criminals."
Yeah, we're
I-
definitely.
I nod and turn to Nevin and say, "Do you think that you can help me with this?" And I gesture to the gash in my shin.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen that.
we'll take care of it on camp. Sorry, Nevin.
I've seen that on a horse. I can do the same with you.
Yeah, actually, you are the closest thing maybe to a doctor that they have, really.
I'll touch you up at the camp if you want.
They seem. Sorry, you see that Adam especially seems very worried when he mentions Kisha, and then he comes close to you and says, "There is something about Kisha that I don't think you know. Go back to the camp and talk to Nemes. He will tell you more."
Okay, come on. I'm gonna lead them back with my using the torch. It's a flashlight, so it's not a torch.
Yeah, it's the British way to say.
Yeah, I know. I was just clearing that up.
Okay, so You go back to the camp. Everybody's on alert. Some other people are trying to go to the waterfalls to help with potential awakened. Nemes welcomes you and says that, oh, Timir is fine. He's just resting now. We took care of the wounds. Nothing too serious. He's just very um, traumatized by the kidnapping of Kisha. They were very close, and about that, there's something I haven't told you, and I think now it's time. Well, first of all, he's asking, what have you found out there? Anybody wants to add something specific?
We found Goran. He was turning into something else. So
He got he was turning into an uh he was turning.
it's
Oh,
okay.
no.
I nailed him with a screwdriver.
We will have to break this to Danica. Like he turns towards the fire, and you see Danica crying, not looking at you, even if probably she noticed that you are back. She knows that Goran is not with you again. She's just trying to calm the baby, which is crying really loudly. And Nemes looks at you, May, and says, May, I know you two are close. Do you want to tell her?
Yeah, I'll go and walk over to Danica and start to deliver the news of what happened to Gorim.
How do you say it?
So we found Gorim, but
Danica is not looking at you. She's just crying.
he was already turning when we found him, and
Okay, when you say that, you can, for a second, she pauses, and then she start basically wailing, like crying really loud.
yeah, I'm gonna stop and just I'm gonna hug her.
She's handing you the baby. Please take her for a
Oh,
moment, and then
okay.
she puts her hands on her face, and for a moment you realize she actually wants to be alone, maybe.
Okay, I'll take Nada with me and give her some privacy to trying to calm the baby.
Okay. After a few minutes, you talk with Nemes. You explain what happened. Blah blah blah. You see the dragon and Adam are back from the waterfall. They're saying someone else is taking care of the corpses. There's not going to be any problem. We try to. They say that they found a corpse, decapitated corpse, on top of the waterfall, which is really weird. Uh, then they look at you, Constantine, and say, "Did you do that?"
I've shown no remorse. I'm like, yes, he was suffering. I ended his suffering.
He could have had information.
He was actively being eaten, and they were inside his rib cage. I don't think it was a time or a place that I was going to get any good information from him. It was better to end his suffering.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. I think Tiomir knows enough for us to find them. Anyway, Nemes, did you tell them already? And Nemes says no with his head, and then it says, "Well, so Kisha is not only a girl that we all love here in this community. She's also somewhat our savior in a way. Um, I wish I didn't have to discuss this with you, but it's thanks to her if the mighty keeper allow us to move safely in these territories. You know that there's been a chimera some kind of giant monster that has been following your community for a while. And in a couple of um, instances, it also intervened to protect you somehow. However, you never really understood why or what was this thing. And what Nemes is saying now is that Kisha somehow had a connection with this creature. But without her, this thing might actually start to hunt your community instead. So Nemes continues, that's not the only thing I'm worried about. I'm also really worried that Kisha might be sold, or God knows what would happen to her. She doesn't deserve it, and we need to do everything we can to avoid this from happening. We know from what Timir said that they are going to Copper. It's a town. Um, it's far from here, but they move on horses. The situation is not doesn't look good for us. And then he looks at Adam and Dragon, and do you think we could reach them? And well, Dragon says, well, you know what? I think that the horses are an advantage. We really can't. Uh, we can really fill that gap that quickly. You know, if they're running with horses and we are stuck on foot, they're much faster than us. And they're the gap between the two communities, between the kidnappers and your community, will become greater by the day. He thinks that they might reach Copper in maybe top 3 days. 3 days top, sorry. And Adam instead, he has this past as a soldier. He says that, well, Copper is surrounded by this vast forest. And in time, from what I understood from the latest maps I've seen, that's become one of these crimson zones. We think that Copper, like from what I understood, is just swarmed with this with awakened, and I didn't know that there was any community there. For what I understood and how they moved and their equipment and how they were dressed, I think these guys were really prepared, maybe part of some ex-governmental organization or something like that. While you're talking, um, Stanislaw from the group from Trieste steps in and says, we could use the train. We could be there in maybe one day. But, well, then he looks at May. We have that
We need
problem
to fix
that we
it.
were discussing before. It's not something we can build or repair quickly. However, I heard of a community not far from here, maybe half a day from here. They for sure have what we need, and maybe they will be willing to barter with us.
How far away is this community?
I think half a day walking top.
Do we risk it? That's half a day we lose pursuing them.
We're not gonna be there in time anyway, so
May have something.
Nemes turns and shouts something to Misha. Hey, fight something precious. Check in there. Like I have something they might want. And then Misha comes with what Misha has found. Nevin, what did Misha find that thinks this community would want to trade with you?
He found a bottle of fuel, but like a huge bottle of fuel that could be used to not fuel, but and it's not something you could use to power up like cooking devices, and like you could use for maybe gas, like a bottle of gas that could be used for anything that needs heat and fire. So a source, an energy source.
Okay. Nemes looks at you, and then he looks at the sky and says, "It's almost dawn. If you leave now, you will be back tomorrow by noon, maybe. Don't be afraid. The life of Kisha depends on this. I hope the saints will protect you. Please, get that peace so we can get her back."
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm in.
no problem.
Briefly look down at baby Nada that I'm still holding. Yeah, yeah, that's at least we'll get one of our own back.
So you pack your bags. As I mentioned, it's almost dawn. There's no time to waste. The clouds are getting darker. Somehow you think the weather is not going to be good on the way to this place. And while you are getting away from the somewhat safe walls of your community, even though you cannot really see the faces of your companions, you can feel the anguish that waits on each one of you. And you can feel the anguish that waits on you, on yourself. You feel some nostalgia for the scent of warm food and the noise of the happy voices of your companions that you heard just a few hours before. And with this, we close this first session of Railway, and hopefully we will start again in a few weeks for the second part. I would like to thank you, Nemes, as Nevin.
You're welcome. That was a pleasure.
Alex Wrights as May,
Oh, that was fun.
and Schnerfel as Constantine.
You got it, boss.
All right, thank you for whoever is
Yay.
watching, and forgive my poor English, but I tried my best. There are seasons. When you see this, there will be more information about the Kickstarter campaign. At this point, I don't know them, so just check the description of this video. Thank you very much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.